Last week, Mitch McConnell's liability insurance bill didn't really pass. That was the one where, you can't sue your employer because they were worried about, you doing things to them. So this week, Mitch has the alternative. He's doing the lobster bill. And under the lobster bill, you can put some live lobsters at the front. So anytime, someone that you really just don't like comes to the store, they can just, crunch. So every time... Every time a king crab comes to the door, it's feasting day at Mitch McConnell's house. Hey, good afternoon, everybody. This is LALATE. Hope you're good and safe. It's a big day. We got Pot Bill, we got Mitch's Lobster Bill, we got Chuck doing Broadway. Everyone has your priorities in touch. But a big scandal is unfolding in hazard pay, and I have that right here. Boy, as if we didn't have another scandal exposed by LALATE over the weekend, yet another one minutes from now. If there was ever a day to like and subscribe to the channel, it might be today. Go to the Funniest channel, hit the subscribe button. We reached 250,000 subscribers this morning, breaking all YouTube records. First time ever done in 4 months by a channel. Wow. And then like this video. It really helps for the algorithm. This is Afternoons LALATE, part of our 2-hour programming schedule every day at 3:30. Starts with a check at 3:30. Then this video, hazard pay. 30 minutes after this, you have to tune in for PUA and unemployment benefits. Big developments on that 30 minutes after this video. And then finally rent. Boy, it is an incredible day for hazard pay, as a lot of confusion is brewing on new hope for hazard pay in a matter in which it takes a few seconds to explain. No less than last Thursday, I told you that the hope for hazard pay in a legislative federal level seemed bleak, if not dead. But I said it's a very fluid situation. I said it could change by the second. I said to focus on hazard pay on a private situation. And what I referred to were businesses that are simply now the focus of protests by unions to get hazard pay paid to their employees. More about that in a second. That's still brewing. There's a new thing that's unfolding today. And that new thing is now 2, if not 3, legislative efforts to introduce bills to the House and the Senate, one that's nonpartisan, that has nonpartisan support, that's trying to do a workaround around Nancy Pelosi. And one of them is likely to have hazard pay in it. Let me get to the incredible details. Last week we thought, no, we didn't think. We were told by Steve Mnuchin that the second stimulus bill, which was $500 billion, would not have hazard pay, but that a subsequent bill later in the month of September at $600 billion would have other things that need to be addressed in it, likely hazard pay. And now we were often calling that the third stimulus package, somewhere in late September. That fell apart by late last week when Steve Mnuchin was asked about it. He's like, I don't remember ever saying that. Thank you, Steve. Not the first time he's done this to us. And that was where we ended. I said, I don't think you're going to get hazard pay from a legislative path because I don't see anything happening with hazard pay. Today I do. This is a total different situation, and I told you things can change very quickly. And what's changing very quickly is dissent in Nancy Pelosi's caucus. My favorite word. Her caucus is not so much caucusing around her anymore. There's no less than 3 different groups that have now told news in a new report by Bloomberg they're introducing bills to give you relief. And one of the bills is so big at $1.5 billion that it has to include hazard pay. The number is so overwhelming that it basically mirrors everything that Nancy Pelosi has in the HEROES Act, with the exception of the $915 billion state bailout, which no one, of course, wants to give her, and she's not entitled to it. So at $1.5 billion, this is incredibly great news. Who's authoring that bill? It's being authored by who else but the problem solvers. They sound like, a group that does dating shows at late night. My husband was in, Miami, and the problem solvers investigate. That's what it sounds like. Undercover cameras in the dark vans. But the problem solvers are not that. They are actually a nonpartisan group of Republicans and Democrats who met with Steve Mnuchin and Mark Meadows several times last month. I detail on this channel. They went to the Temple of Doom. She was not answering the door. I'm not joking. And so what they did was they drafted a nonpartisan Republican and Democrat House and Senate bill, which they intend to introduce, that's valued at $1.5 billion, Bloomberg is reporting. With a price tag that high, it has to include hazard pay. That's your first focus of encouraging news for hazard pay. The second one is the Blue Dogs. The Blue Dogs are seeking to introduce their own bill in the next couple of days this September, and they've made it clear as well. The third bill is from the New Age Democrats, and that's what I'm calling them because I can never remember the name. I love their trance music. And they're doing their third bill. So there's three groups that are doing bills for you. Three groups of people who can't stand Nancy Pelosi's position on second stimulus check, So don't drop in the comments. But Nancy says, I don't care what she says. When Nancy's going to, I don't care what she's going to do. This is the reason these people are doing this, because they can't stand what she's doing to her party. And they're elected seats. They're up for re-election. She's going home for retirement. She doesn't care if they lose their seats. She doesn't care about Democrats, other people in other states. She only cares about winning something that's not winnable. And so this is incredibly great news. Now, what's totally different today is two other things. One, this incredible scandal, which this channel has unexposed, where states now have fortunes to pay you hazard pay and may likely pay you hazard pay in the next couple of weeks. More about that in a second. The second one is that there is a new movement on top of what I discussed last week for businesses to pay you hazard pay. Remember, when we talk about hazard pay, we're talking about your work in a hazardous work environment. So you're clearly watching this video because you were a worker. You worked in the pandemic. You think you qualify for hazard pay. You're an essential worker. You're a frontline worker. You know how many hours you worked. You've watched my videos. You understand that the HEROES Act was $10,000 January to the present, $13 an hour, calculated by a number of hours, part-time, full-time. You've done this. You understand this. I don't need to repeat it again. But you're wondering why your employer has not applied for hazard pay. Well, let me get to that in a second. First, the state scandal. There's a lose or use situation going on. And this is why it's such great news for you for hazard pay. States, cities, and counties have fortunes. And that fortunes have not been used. And now you will, but it depends on where you live, see hazard pay bonuses going out in the next couple of weeks. I'm not going to say where it's going to be and how it's going to be, but that is among the manners and what's going to happen. In the last couple of weeks, I've detailed cities and counties that said, hey, we're paying some hazard pay. And I'm like, oh, that's really nice. Where'd you get the money from? Got some money. Then I had another report. Hey, we're paying some hazard pay. Got some money. I'm like, where'd you get the money from? We just had some money. Just, sitting around. Well, now we know what's going on with this money. The issue at hand is the following. The issue is that there is a lot of money that city, state, and local has. How much? It's part of $150 billion that was dedicated to them under CARES Act 1. And of that money that they have, they've not used it. They have a December 31st deadline. Some cities or counties have an earlier deadline because they've legislatively put the deadline earlier. So they have to use the money, and they're going to use the money. The question is what? And so what you need to do when you're watching this video is you need to be on high alert for your city, county, and state all the time if they're launching something for you. And unfortunately, I'm going to be repeating this on the other videos today because it may be grant money for rent, it may be money for food, it may be stimulus checks, it may be hazard pay. They all have those options, and it just really depends where you live. And they're doing it. And that's what's happening right now. So incredible promise for hazard pay on a local level that we didn't even have 24 hours ago. There's that. We already went over the federal one, the 3 bills. Now the 4th path, that is the private business. There is big discussions yet again today, and I love this. Hazard pay is front page news. It is front page news because the journalists are really pushing the story, and this is where I get very excited for you because they understand there's a story. Kroger and other major businesses that employed frontline workers and have not paid them hazard pay this fall are under fire. A new CNN business report says that Kroger bought back more than $200 million of shares during the latest quarter ending August 15th, and its board authorized $1 billion in additional repurchase of shares. What are they doing? They're repurchasing shares because of the stock prices of their company, but instead of repurchasing shares, but by purchasing shares, they're spending money on buying back their company for their own corporate purposes instead of paying hazard pay. The grocery chain in May halted a $2 per hour pay bump it gave to its workers to doing their jobs in the pandemic, says CNN Business. The other chains that stayed open during the pandemic have also made similar moves to repurchase stocks. Dollar General's board of directors greenlighted a $2 billion stock buyback, and Big Lots did the same. What the story is basically saying is, to make it very simple, is that they're buying things for corporate that doesn't have to do anything with giving you hazard pay. This comes on the heels of massive protests nationally against retailers who are not paying hazard pay, but are now spending the money on other purposes. This is incredibly great news for you as the discussion's going forward. Yesterday, you dropped 666 comments to hazard pay, and let me answer some of your questions right now. Let's get right to it. Gina, I think everyone holds a seat in the government should be voted out of office. I agree. Colleen, good afternoon, everyone. Trying so hard to stay positive when after reading through all these comments makes me feel positive. I can't believe what other people are going through. Well said. Mariah, aha. I just got to the point, they don't care, government. Everett, LALATE, this is the most disgusting thing that Congress can waste their time. I can't get Americans to take the street. It's horrible. I agree. Andrew, Nancy needs to take a long walk off of a, I'm not going to finish the sentence. Victoria, I love this channel. You're the only one that seems to have the facts straight. I do, Victoria. I spent a lot of time researching every detail and going further into detail of what's going on in every single facet. And then I stay with the story. I go deeper. I don't just give superfluous or surface stories. Dennis, I don't expect to hear from Niche or Nancy on the other side when I get to heaven. Dean, I just start the reports with no checks. No, I'm not going to start the reports like that. If you want a routing channel that tells you the check is on your way, go track your check. You can go do that. That's not what this channel is about. Mariah, get rid of Nancy and the bad ones. May the lobster bill include a free lobster coupon for all of us. I love that. Betty, I wish someone would just tighten the scarf around the neck. Okay. Keep it PC. Susan, I'm one of those essential workers. Okay, Susan's essential worker who has worked through all this pandemic. When all this started, I was scared to death for my safety and that of my family. This is Susan Reynolds. But I continue. So others had what they needed. In a small way, I deserve hazard pay. But it's not on top of my priority list. Well, once again, think of the others worse off than me. We need the stimulus check sent out now before things get worse. And then they will. With the cold weather coming, there are new homeless people with entire families with no place to go. The homeless community resources were already strengthened to the limits. God help them. I love that. God bless you, Susan, for that incredible comments. Karen, I wouldn't know what to do at my age waiting for the money. Thank God I'm on disability, but still not enough. Crystal, can the people sue the state for our lives? I think they can. I think there's a real big scandal brewing where states have money for you and they're not giving the money to you. I don't know what the watchdog groups are doing out there. I don't mean another group of dogs in this broadcast, but it's the watchdog groups. I don't know what they're doing. It's just, this is ashamed. Gene Brown, they should be ashamed of themselves, Congress and the official representatives. They have a very short attention span. Doris, but we hear the reports the economy's good. Len, Nancy and Mitch on tonight's episode of All in the Family. Robert, I see the Canadians got it right. It's so sad, American. Catherine, they need to just pass this and give it all the essential workers. They need to give us give the employees to us. Sharithalia, this has to be one of the craziest years, shaking my head. Terry Rose is a longtime viewer of this channel. The dad jokes will keep on coming. Amen. If there was a day to like and subscribe to this channel, it's today. Also, I want you to stay on top of Mitt Romney. I detailed his bill yesterday. It's an incredibly great bill. So keep on tagging Mitt Romney. If you don't know what I'm talking about, watch yesterday's hazard pay video on today about his hazard pay bill in the Senate. Go to the front channel and subscribe and drop your comments below. I may feature them tomorrow's recording. And then like this video. It helps with the algorithm. Coming up after this is unemployment. You really have to watch that video. Incredible, great news for viewers of my channel who did not qualify for LWA because of that $100 threshold. States are now doing a workaround to get you money. I mean, this is the positive news that you want to start on Monday morning about. This channel was bred upon helping others and keeping it positive. And I appreciate your patronage in helping us get to 250,000 subscribers. Let's keep it going. Let's go into 275 is next. As always, stay informed, stay motivated, stay smiling, and stay LA for more.